and welcome inside 302 Sports. A few days ahead of the individual state wrestling tournament down at Cape Henlopen. Nick Alessandrini joined by the best in the business, Benny Mitchell. We're going to dive in weight class by weight class and break down these brackets heading into this weekend. Benny, it's our favorite time of the year.
Absolutely,
Matt. Time to get back to Cape Henlopen High School. How you feeling here? How's the wrestling season been for you so far? You've been doing the rankings at all the meets, and here we are at the pinnacle.
It's been a really good season. Competitive in a lot of the weight classes. I think we're going to see some weight classes this weekend where one of 3 or 4 guys can win it. It's not one guy's not dominating every weight class this year, so I think we're going to see some parity down in Lewis.
And that makes it even more fun. So without further ado, let's dive right into it.
106.
And let's jump into 106 again. And the top seed from Caesar Rodney, a rider in Benjamin Donato. He grabs that top seed, 40-6 is the junior this season. And then Mason Catania there from Salesianum, 19-3, the senior, grabs the 2 seed. You're going to see the graphic there coming up on your screen. So Benny, let me ask you first, what stands out to you there at the 106 bracket as we have the seedings and know where everybody lies?
I think this is going to be the one we see goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't see anybody getting through those 4 guys: Donato, Perrin, Decker, and Mason Catania. But Donato has wins over all of them this year. Him and Catania are 1-1. Catania getting the win at the Del Caso Invitational, and then Donato got it back in the dual meet. You're going to see a rematch of the conference finals in the semis on Saturday. Both won their semi or their final pretty handily. This bracket, like I said, nobody stands out that can bust through that top 4. Reginald Ferdinand from Laurel, I think he's better than a 10 seed. I see him maybe on the podium and somewhat of a surprise.
Yeah, we always get those, with the seedings, we can always get some crazy ones where some guys end up with a 10 or beyond and then make their way, as you mentioned, Benny, onto the podium.
As we get into the weight, usually there's a handful of good matches on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year. There's a ton of good matches on Friday night. Some really good the quarterfinals may be as exciting as the semifinals.
Yeah, rubbing it in, why don't you? There on a Friday, unable to be. But that's going to be again a fantastic way to start here at 106. And you mentioned both of those guys, Catania and Donato, 1-1. We'll see if we get that anticipated third matchup there potentially later on.
Yeah, and Mason Catania, I told me last year, he's a 302 Sports fan.
There we go. You got to love that. He's a company man. You got to love that there. And maybe, who knows, maybe he'll be wearing that chain on Saturday night. Well, let's jump up here from 106 to 113. And Gabe Campanelli, and one of those Salesianum wrestlers there. You're going to see a lot of those guys ranked towards the top, the Division I team state champions. And then at the 2 seed, Xavier Ramos. We got to see him. I did there in the Blue Hen Conference final. He was able to wrap that up quickly. He grabs the 2 seed there. As you see this bracket now coming onto your screen, I gave you the top 2, Benny. Just looking down now here at 113. What really stands out to you maybe about the seedings and where everybody is?
This was the most active bracket in the rankings all year. It was like playing bingo or Yahtzee. I wanted a lot of shuffling throughout the year, a lot of upsets, a lot of, because it's a lot of freshmen in this weight class. So it was hard to kind of early on to gauge it. But Gabe Campanelli, he's beating everybody. He'll see possibly Robbins or Kyler Fleming of Wilmington Friends. He beat Fleming in the finals last week at the Independent. He beat Robbins at Del Castle tournament. And down the bottom, you have Nathan Moore, the Henlopen Conference champs, against Xavier Ramos. I think Ramos might have a close win over him. This weight class, this is the one that anything could happen. There's going to be. I'm going to talk about the quarterfinals in a minute or a second, but. Mason Farrell from Lake Forest, if he goes back and he's wrestling like he was at the beginning he had a bad conference tournament. If he goes back and he's wrestling like he did at the beginning of February, he could be a problem in the bottom half of this bracket. But on Friday night, 3 really good quarterfinals to watch. Gavin Robbins versus Fleming from Friends, Nathan Moore versus Cape's Blake Walker, and Mason Farrell versus Xavier Ramos. That's going to be a first-round match.
There you go. And again, 113, one of those weight classes, you might want to toss it up there until we get to those final rounds. They're going to be a fun one. As Benny mentioned, check out those quarterfinals at 113 on Friday night.
Actually, I'm wrong. That'll be a quarterfinal.
Or, excuse me,
with Ramos. I said first round. That'll be a quarterfinal.
So that could be fun. 106, 113, the books. Let's now jump to 120. A wrestler you know well, Malachi Stratton from Sussex Central. 46-8 is the senior. Another fantastic season for Malachi. He sits atop the rest there at that number 1 seed. And then you got to say Mark Spartan there at the 2, and Cliff Backish was a finalist last year, and here he is now at 120. This one's going to be interesting as well here up until you see Malachi at that top seed. He's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, Derbyshire, Zach Derbyshire, Slazan, it's a big ask for him to get through Malachi Stratton. It's a big ask for anybody to get through Malachi Stratton. He's a 3-time state champ for a reason. Delaware's all-time winningest wrestler. Down the bottom, it's a little interesting, though. You got Cole Moffitt, who everybody thought he was out, towards UCL, thought he was done for the year at the Delcastle Finals. Got cleared, got a brace, got himself back, was in the conference finals last week. He holds the win over Derbyshire in a close match with Backish. I think it was a 5-2 or 5-3 early in the season. But you got Tommy Arms in there from Conrad, who's kind of a wild card. Him and Moffitt will possibly, most likely, be in the quarter. That's going to be the big quarter of 120 is Cole Moffitt and Tommy Arms of Conrad.
Is there anybody else you see in that bracket, maybe outside the seatings there that maybe has a chance to make it up in here at 120?
If you're in the top part of that bracket, look. I'm not a betting man, but I'm betting on Malachi Stratton to be in the finals.
That's right. Put me on that bet as well. Right. There at 120. Let's now jump to 126 with Anthony Andrews, your top seed. 33-3 was the junior so far this season, having a phenomenal year. And then another guy, the sophomore Dominic Aleutian there from Salesianum. He gets that 2 seed. A couple other names. Nicholas Papiro here from DMA. He's going to get the 3 seed. The freshman, 35-13 for him. And then coming up there at the 4 seed, Hobie Gibbons from Indian River is the senior, so they're the top 4. You're going to see that bracket coming up on your screen with the top 8 seeds. So, Benny, what stands out here at 126 with Anthony Andrews sitting up there at the top seed?
What stands out here? Anthony Andrews and Dominic Aleutian are wrestling for a state championship Saturday night. They're going to rematch their conference finals. Look, Papira's coming in hot.
Yeah, yes, he is.
But he's going to run up against a buzzsaw in Lucian. I think that Lucian may have pinned him in the conference finals, and Anthony Andrews tech followed Hobie Gibbons, and that was the 3rd time he's tech followed him this year. So a sleeper in that weight class, Jaden Mee, Sussex Central, as a 6 seed. Yeah. He might be a little higher in that podium than his seed says. But I mean, this is all everybody in the state's waiting for this. We've talked about it from the very first ranking. They've had one match. Everybody's waiting for the Andrews-Lucian rematch.
That's right. I'll be waiting. We'll be there checking that one with high anticipation there, potentially at 126 on Saturday night. The top 2 seeds potentially meeting in that state final. Let's jump to 132. We've got a Red Lion wrestler sitting there at the top seed in Ty Bellerin. He comes in at 33-4, is the junior there. And then number 2, Evan Cordry from Sussex Central, the senior, having another great year at 38-4. So 132 pounds, and you'll see the top 8 wrestlers on your bracket here coming up, and we're going to go through the rest of these seedings here. Aaron Manikella from St. Mark's, not a lot of in-state wrestling. I didn't get to see a lot of the Spartans there this year, not at Delcastle as well, but he gets the 3 seed. Then Gavin Mundy from DMA, again, a lot of Seahawks we'll see with some success this weekend, coming off another state championship.
Gavin Corge has been number 1 all year. Him and Bellerin have not met. Bellerin has hit his stride at the right time of the season.
That's what it's all about.
Coming in, wins the conference tournament. Up top, Gavin Mundy he's not an easy out. I mean, that's going to be a good semifinal. Gavin Mundy was a state finalist last year, lost to Copes in a really good match. Down, Evan Cordry goes to the 2 seed due to the criteria. But Manikella is, again, he's beaten Manikella, not this year, but he's beaten Manikella last year. But Manikella, when Aaron Manikella shows up, he's ready to go. So really good semifinals here on Saturday. I don't see anybody kind of making any noise other than those 4 guys.
Again, we're going to now jump to 138 pounds. Another rider coming off a state championship last year in Trevor Copes, 41-5. Again, numerous first-place finishes on his resume here in 24 and 25. First in the conference. And then Piero Papilli coming in from DMA at a number 2 seed, another Seahawk there. You'll see these top 8 seeds on your screen. And again, looking up and down this bracket, Santino Ciani, again, a very good season for the freshman from Salesianum as well. A lot of talent here at 138.
Yeah, 138 is going to be interesting. 5 good guys in this weight class. Copes, returning state champ, 5-time finalist. And 2 of those losses were to Gabe Giampietra, who was ranked in the country at the time, now wrestling at Drexel. Pierre Papilli, getting hot at the right time, won the conference championship over Santino Sayani. That should be a rematch in the semis on Saturday.
Be a good one.
But here, the interesting quarters on Friday night, Sheehan and Mills, Jordan Mills and Gavin Sheehan, rematch of the Blue Hen Conference Championship.
That's right.
And Santino Sayani, and keep an eye on Jasmine Sneed from Del Mar. Copes has teched and pinned most of his opponents this year. That was a 10-2 major on Saturday night down at the Henlopen Conference. So keep an eye on Jasmine Sneed. He's not out of this race either.
That's right. Maybe he'll be one of those sleeper guys to make his way, deep on the podium. And you talked about a few others. So going to be fun there at 138 as well. You mentioned the Blue Hen Conference Finals rematch again. Jordan Mills wrestling very well on Saturday. So again, going to be fun at 138. Again, last year's champ, Eddie Radecki. We'll talk about him here
Real
now
soon,
as we get to 144 pounds. And before we jump into the whole bracket, just talk a little bit about Eddie Reddy and what it's been like to kind of, see what he's done over his career. It feels like yesterday I was interviewing him after his 8th grade state championship,
right.
And just to see the way that he's evolved here now and just continuing to get better and better. Here he is with the top seed at 144, and he's trying to make history.
Headed to Duke next year. About to make history if he wins this. He'd be the Delaware first 5-time state champion. And he has, again, he's another one that has stood out in this weight class. I don't see anything but Eddie Radecki championship on Saturday. The money I will put on this is going to be the last match of the night.
I think so. And
it's going to be the feature match.
I think I might be talking with him there after that match potentially.
We'll have to catch him coming out of the circle. Couple good quarterfinals on this one on Friday night. Yeah. Justin Craig and Jackson Grendel of DMA, and then Jacob Gerard and Jerusalem Howard. Gerard of Sally's, Howard from Lake Forest, the Henlopen, 2-time Henlopen Conference champion.
That's right. Take it is at 144. Again, Eddie Radecki trying to make history there for the Caravel Buccaneers. Let's now jump to 150 pounds, and Nicholas Walker, the junior, grabbing the top seed from Cape Henlopen, 38-5, and then number 2 from Salesianum, the sophomore Ricky Jewell. At the 3 seed, John Rovillard from Sussex Central, and then that 4 seed there up top, Nick DiTomaso from St. George's, wrestled well on Saturday night in the Blue Hen Finals. So here we are at 150. Benny, what stands out to you here at 150 pounds?
Nick Walker's going to wrestle Ricky Jewell for the state championship. And they have blown this weight class up. They haven't met each other. They have dominated everybody at 150 pounds. I don't see that changing Friday and Saturday. Even in my notes, I don't have a sleeper. I don't have a landmine.
Move on to one.
They're wrestling for the state championship at 150 pounds. They've just stood out from everybody this year.
That's right. So, again, that one's something to look forward to on Saturday night, potentially. We'll see if there could be a bracket buster in there, but not foreseen.
You do have a pretty good quarterfinal in that on Friday night. It's a rematch of the Blue Hen, Hackett and DiTomaso. I think that was the Blue Hen final.
Yeah, well, and DiTomaso wrestled very well in that match and won in good fashion there, as we now are ready to jump to 157 pounds. And we got another Sussex Tech wrestler there, Dustin Elliott. What a season he's had. What a career he's had there for the Ravens now in his senior year. First there in the Henlopen. We talked about a 39-2, someone that's been atop the rankings all year long for him. Then you've got Jemai White, who, again, second in the Henlopen there from downstate as well. 36-7 is that senior. What stands out in you through the seedings here is you'll see him on your screen at 157.
Dustin Elliott, returning state champ, headed to Bloomsburg next year. Again, here's a guy that's teched and pinned his way through 157 all year. On the bottom half, it should be Jemai White, but he did have a close match with Sloan Makuji out of Friends at the Del Castle tournament. So White's not, he's not out of the water yet. He's going to have a tough match there. Really some good quarterfinals in this one. Friday night, you're going to see Ty Brown and Kamar Miller, rematch of the Blue Hen Conference Championship, quarterfinals. I'm sorry, no, that's first round.
First round,
That's a first round match.
And now, again, Ty Brown wrestling really well. That one went down to the wire.
Right. Alec Baxley and Kenneth King from Cesar Rodney, they've met once this year. Each put each other in a cradle. King just happened to have the last one. That was back in December, though. and then Makuji, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and Jemai White, big quarterfinal there at 157.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Again, Dustin Elliott trying to go back-to-back there for Sussex Tech at 157 pounds. So we'll keep it rolling here. Your DIAA Individual Wrestling State Championships. We're heading to 165. And Jacob Ebal from St. Mark's, the senior, 43-9. He gets the top seed here out of the Independent Conference. And then Jason Hugart from William Penn, 24-9. The senior grabs the 2 seed. And again, he gets that over the 3 seed here. And Craig Dixon from Caesar Rodney. And then Stanley Pete grabs the 4. So you're going to see the top 8 seeds on your bracket here for 165 pounds. And Jacob Ebal, your 165-pound champ last year, and trying to do the same thing in the same weight class here in 25.
Hand Limit Conference upset blew this bracket apart. The seating has kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm sure I'll get a reason why.
Let's dive into it.
Yeah, I kind of surprised that Pete was dropped all the way to number 4, but he did. Him and Ebal have had 2 matches this year. The fur's going to fly when they wrestle. These 2 throw. They put points on the board. I believe the one match was 16-15 when it ended in a pin. The other one was high scoring in the state duels. But for Pete to get another crack at Ebal, he's got a tough match in Bennett Brumley, who he's wrestled a few times from Sussex Tech. He's beaten him twice this year, but it was on Friday night that Brumley upset Pete last year in the state tournament. Bottom half of the bracket, Jason Hugart from William Penn got the 2. He hasn't wrestled hardly. I think he's had 2 matches at 165 this year. That was the kind of surprise to me. And then Craig Dixon has got the 3 seed, the Henley Open champ, who pulled the upset in the finals. Big matches, Brumley Pete Friday night, Dixon, Justin Ryland from DMA.
That's right.
That's going to be a good quarterfinal. And Roman Cimarosi from Wilmington Charter and Hughart. I think Cimarosi, he's got a chance to be in the semifinals here.
That's right. Again,
he's got to get through a tough Jason Hugart, but I think he's right there in the mix with these guys.
And you mentioned Ryland again. When you get in some of those schools like DMA and Salesian, no matter what they're ranked coming in, you're going to be a tough match regardless here going forward. So something to pay attention to there at 165. Jacob Ebal trying to go back-to-back there for the Spartans at state champs at the same weight. As we jump now to 175 pounds, Frankie Norris, 4-time conference champion. He gets your top seed here from William Penn. And then Luke Spohr again coming in 6-0, and Luke battling injuries again this year. Good to see him a little bit healthier now as we get into the state tournament. He grabs the 2 seed. As you see some of these rankings now on your screen, Ryan McCormick, what a season he's having for the St. Elizabeth Vikings. He gets the 3 seed. And then Javion Chandler from Indian River. He's a pretty good football player as well. There. He grabs the 4 seed.
Scored the game-winning touchdown in the state championship.
That's right. We did that game as well.
Yeah. I'm not a I told you so guy, but I told you Luke Spohr was going to be back.
Yep.
Right? Heard it all year. He's back. He's the 2 seed because he has the state duels, and he's had 6 matches, but he's won all 6, and he's won all 6 pretty dominantly. This is weight class going to be fun. He comes in here opposite side of the bracket of the defending state finals, Frankie Norris of William Penn, and then get Javion Chandler also stands in that on that side of the bracket. That is going to be maybe going to be a quarterfinal because Javion Chandler has Jordan Payne from Christiana.
Wow.
Before he has him on Friday night. That's going to be the Friday night match. McCormick, I don't know. I know he's the 3rd seed. He's got a rematch coming with Sport. It was the decision. It was maybe 3-4 point decision, but takedown with the new scoring system, one takedown can change that match. I think the sleeper in this weight class is Jordan Payne, a guy who talks about anybody from Christiana, right? We saw him at the Del Castle tournament, took Frankie Norris to the limit.
1-point match, I believe.
It was a 1-point match, and then they had another tight one.
It was on Saturday. Phenomenal match. Might be Nick Holliday's favorite match of the tournament, but what match that was, again, down to the wire as Frankie Norris pulled that one out. But Jordan Payne, a very good wrestler, and again, any of those matches could have gone either way. So, again, I think it was big to see Frankie, again, win that one down the stretch and kind of still have that juice late in the 3rd period for him. So, but again, Jordan Payne going to be a tough out. You're right. This is going to be a fun one. Again, Friday night and is going to be fun down at Cape Henlopen this year. I'm going to have to be doing some games and then having this on the side.
Right.
Check it out, all the action. Anything stand out to you out here at 175? And do you think we're going to see a Luke Spohr, Frankie Norris final?
I would bet on it.
There we go.
I think there's a good chance we could, but Javion Chandler
There's a lot of
wrestled a
bracket
really
buster
good match.
potential in there at 175.
And the thing was, he had a gas tank Friday night or last Saturday night. That Frankie Norris is going to have to go 6 minutes, 6 hard minutes, and if he does it, he earns a shot.
Absolutely. Again, 4-time conference champion there as we jump to 190 pounds where we'll see Braden Renato from Salesianum, the sophomore, 42-7. He gets, of course, the top seed after his independent conference championship. And then from St. Mark's, Finn Hanna. So we got a Salesianum and a Spartan there at the 1-2. At your 3 seed, as again, you'll see these on your screen. Coming in and grabbing that 3 spot, Jeremiah Eastburn, I believe from Concord. I mean, wrestled well on Saturday night in the Blue Hen Conference Finals. And then the 4 seed, Tegan Gritkowski from Smyrna. And again, we usually took us this long in a state tournament here in 2025 to mention a Smyrna Eagle.
Yeah, Smyrna kind of on a rebuilding season. One conference champion, which that doesn't happen very often, but only one conference champion. They are on the rebuild. They're coming back.
Schools go through that a lot. Right?
Yeah,
We've seen that a lot over the years.
Coaching change, so a lot of things going on there. This is Braden Renato's weight class to lose. He's dominated 190 all season. Heck, he's dominated his matches at 215. Yeah, he's a really strong wrestler, great technique. On the bottom side, the only hiccup I could say is Jeremiah Eastburn has pinning power. 32-1 this year is 1 loss. He jumped up to 215. He's the kind of guy you don't want to break that 45-degree angle. You do not want to go to your back with a guy like this. But he's got Finn Hanna. Finn Hanna is coming up he's wrestled 175 most of the year. Keenan Duffy, 5 seeds are historically dangerous in this tournament. He's a 5 seed. Him and Gritkowski could be a good quarterfinal match on Friday night.
There you go, some big ones there at 190, but as Benny said, Braden Renato's weight class to lose.
Eastburn's got Brian Sword from Milford too, so that could be an interesting quarterfinal match.
37-7 for Seward this year was the senior. Again, so going to be some fun ones. Again, a lot of early fun matchups here going to be on Friday night. Well, let's jump here to 215 pounds from Cape Henlopen and Patrick Donahue, your Henlopen champion. 40-3 was the senior this year. He grabs that top seed. Zakir Roberson, again, from Del Castle. 43-1 was the senior. He had a great conference tour, another great season for him. We had a chance to check him out. I did down when we were doing the Blue Hen Conference Finals. Again, looked really good in that match as we work our way through. Brock Rhodes from Caravel. I believe that's who we beat in the Del Castle Finals earlier in the year. Brock Rhodes, one of the best sideline-to-sideline linebackers we had in the state this year as well. So he's having a phenomenal athletic career. And then Mason Schulenberg from Smyrna, 31-13. He is senior. He gets the 4 spot.
Patrick Donahue, clear favorite to win this weight class, but Brock Rhodes has a knack of turning it on the last weekend of the season. I think the one thing you see, he takes losses early in the season, but he's not the guy that takes a week off after football. He plays in a state championship game on Saturday and turns around and he's wrestling in a tournament on Friday.
Love to see it.
So, he takes some early losses in the season and he comes back. We watched him last year at the last event, jump from 215 to 285 and found himself in the state finals at 285 pounds last year. So he turns it on. He reminds me of a Kevin Hudson from Caesar Rodney. On that last weekend of the season, he's ready to go. Ivan Flores, Dion Austin, I think it's going to be the 3rd, maybe 4th time they've wrestled. That's going to be a quarterfinal match on Friday night. The prize for that is you get Patrick Donahue. Zakir Roberson, he's looking for the 4th meeting with Rhodes this season. But Vaughn Brooks and McKean, can he upset the apple cart here?
Yeah, man, we saw them. I believe they wrestled each other in that Blue Hen Finals on Saturday night. So, a relatively close match there. I thought, Vaughn Brooks has the size as well. He's very strong there at 215, so that could be another good rematch.
3 big Friday night matches here. Dion Austin versus Mason Schulenberg.
Checking them off.
From Smyrna,
You want to be there not just for the finals this year. You want to be there Friday night.
Yeah, get a 2-day ticket.
To check out some of these
Brock
matches.
Rhodes and Ivan Flores from Sussex Central, and then Zakir Robertson versus Vaughn Brooks on Friday night.
Well, let's jump to 285 pounds, formerly known as
Heavyweight.
That's right, back in the day. Well, let's jump to it here. Getting the top seed from William Penn is Eli Yarquin Torres, who has been phenomenal this year for William Penn. I've seen numerous battles with him and Jaleel Settles from St. George's here over the course of the season. He's having a heck of a season from William Penn, another top seed for the Colonials. And then how about this? The returning state champ, Cale Denigris, grabbing the 2 seed here from DMA. So usually maybe you see Cale there up at number 1. He's 47-5 as a senior, but he's going to get the 2 seed here this year, 285.
Yeah, all eyes are on Eli, Joaquin Torres, William Penn, and Cale Deningers of Delaware Military. But there are some guys in this weight class you can't ignore. And with big men, you can, because, again, like I talked about with Eastburn, you go to your back, it could be over quickly in a heavyweight match. That's how Settles, he pins Deningers at the Canal Classic. And Deningers, 2-time state champ, number 1 ranked guy, falls. Some guys you got to keep an eye on. Don't sleep on Greg Lockett. I know he does have Deningres in the bottom half of the bracket. And another guy got to keep an eye on is Tristan Cooper of Cesar Rodney. He ended the dual meet season pinning Settles. So he was the conference runner-up last week. But I think most people are going to expect a Deningres-Torres state final. I don't have nothing big in the quarters here, I don't think.
Or we could see for maybe the 8th or 9th time Settles and Torres wrestle here, potentially there down the line. It'd be fun to see those guys meet for about the 10th time here this
You'll
season.
see that Saturday morning probably.
That's right. There you have it, is for 285 pounds. But as you mentioned, a lot of some of these brackets going through is where the 1 and 2 seed on a collision course to potentially meet in the finals. Is there any bracket or any weight class that you're maybe pay attention to the most, or what's your favorite weight class for this year?
My favorite weight class
in terms of entertainment purposes.
Yeah, 113. I'm gonna put I put money on Campanella to win it, but I'd be hard pressed to tell you who's going to be in the final with them. They're that tight. That's probably the most exciting.
I want to ask you again. Is that your most what's your most anticipated finals match? Is that the one there, or is there another weight class? Where do you want to see the 1 versus 2?
There's 2. It's going to be 126 with Andrews versus Lucian.
I want to see the same one as me.
And 150 with Walker versus Jewel.
That'll be a good one too. I know I'm looking to see 175 as well. Maybe we get a Frankie Norris, Luke Spoor final. That's what I'm looking forward to potentially with those 2 guys having great years. But again, they're bracket busters in a lot of these weight classes. So we'll see if somebody again makes their name known and throws a wrench in everybody's plans. That's the goal for some of these guys that you're not hearing a lot about. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun postseason tournament.
I do want to talk about this class of 2025. Yeah. Maybe one of the more talented classes in recent history. 7 wrestlers are going for a multiple state title. Wow. So 7 guys have already won state titles before their senior year. I would say 132 and 215, 2 guys that have won titles, or seniors, are favored. 14 state titles already won by guys the class of 2025. And I say that because I know we've had some trouble getting guys to wrestle in the senior classic. And I'm hoping this group.
Oh, really?
Yeah, recent years have a hard time getting guys going.
I wrestled in that. You gotta love that. We wrestled.
So I'm hoping these guys, this class of 25, steps up and wrestles in the senior classic, because they are talented. Really talented. I'm gonna miss them. They're that talented.
That's right. You got to represent the state, right? Got to go against Jersey and Pennsylvania back in the day. You got to make us look good. I think Mars was an AI back in the day. Man, when I used to represent, I'll say, hey guys, we need you to represent the state, right? It's again keep that.
And the DWA has done a lot for these guys. And they need to. It was disappointing last year that they were piecing a team together the week before the event. That's got to change. State champs got to step up. And represent their
absolutely. Got to represent the 302, right? That's what it's all about.
How long is that after the regular season?
A couple weeks.
A couple weeks, right? You get some practice. You got some Team Delaware practices through the next couple of weeks, and then and again, not too strict on the weight either, so you don't have to worry about that part. I do remember, but I remember that.
It's like a floating scale.
That's right. It's a very floating scale. I was on and off that scale quickly, but going to be a fun one here. Benny, closing words here for the individual state tournament coming up this weekend. Again, it's going to be a very fun Friday and a more fun Saturday night. But you mentioned the parity coming in, and we've got some collision courses. We've got some parity. We've got everything.
Don't wait to buy your tickets. It sold out last year. It's been selling out since COVID.
So standing room only, for sure.
Don't wait to buy your tickets. Get your tickets, be there, support these guys. Yeah, it's going to be tight quarters down there
Always is.
up until the finals. And I remember the kid from Texas last year at St. Mark's won 132. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. Anyhow, he remarked in his interview that he thought it was hot in Texas until he got that center mat on Saturday night. He said but living in Texas made him ready. So the plan for the weekend is I'll be doing the Friday night interviews down there and the updates, and hopefully you'll scoot down there so we can do the finals or the semifinal recap and the final preview. Scott Kammerer and Dan Rigby will have the call on the finals on the NFHS network, and then you'll be doing the championship interviews. I think Josh DeFilippis, who did the.
That's right. Yeah.
He's going to be around, so if he bumps into me, he's going to be put to work.
There you go, Josh.
And of course, my wife will help with the videoing of the. It's a big weekend. I think this is going to be a fun weekend. I think this is going to be one of the more whistle-to-whistle entertaining state tournaments we've had in a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. As Benny said, get your tickets for both days, Friday and Saturday. Going to be a lot of great matchups down at Cape Henlopen High School. Again, Benny Mitchell, phenomenal work all season long. Again, how was it put together, those final rankings as we headed into the conferences?
Well, heading into the conferences, that was pretty easy. Problem was they blew up the seating. And the rankings, all these rankings are it's entertainment, it's credit for what you've done during the year. And it's putting it out there for people to read, people to look at. Some people make it a target. Some people did make it a target.
Yeah, no doubt.
We had a few upsets which is I'm fine. When I do the rankings, the more changes I do, the more knowledgeable I become of the guys that are wrestling.
Exactly.
If everything stays the same, I kind of lose interest. So I don't get upset when one of my rankings goes down. It's just more studying for me to do and more knowledge that I get of the wrestlers.
That's right, again, and it's been fantastic all year long. Had the pictures and everything there for the individuals this year. Just making strides every season here in 302 Wrestling. Benny, as always, best of the business. Thank you, sir. It's going to be a fun weekend down in Lewis, and finally get to hang out and right next to you there down the beach.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
And I'll be down there early Saturday afternoon. We'll do, I'm sure, a preview there, talk about what we've seen, and Benny will be bringing you stuff all weekend long down from Cape Henlopen.
Yeah, keep an eye on Facebook, keep an eye on Twitter. I'll keep you updated all weekend.
There you go. You know where to check for all the latest updates, news, and interviews for the Wrestling State Tournament right here on 302 Sports Facebook and Twitter, as Benny just mentioned. So for Benny Mitchell, myself, Nick Allison-Drini, and Nick Halliday, the closest to the camera there behind us. We will see you this weekend. It's the individual state wrestling tournament, best time of the year, coming up in a few days.
And being brought to you by the best wrestling coverage around.